Hello and welcome to another video. This time it will be on Node.js. We'll create a quick API and then we'll create a class named connection that will connect to MongoDB. This class will be using the event emitter of Node.js, and we'll compare the class style to the old prototype style, and I will show you different way of inheritance with a prototype. So let's get started. Now here I have created a basic API with Express. It will run a server on the port here in our local machine 3001 and create a route with slash. Then in my package.json I have added the script dev that run nodemon index.js, so I can run it with npm run dev, and I will get the page with the single message. Now our goal in this video is to create a class that will properly connect to native MongoDB driver. So I will create here a file. I will name it connection.js. Inside of it I will import the Mongo client from our module MongoDB, and then I will import the event emitter from the event that is built in Node.js. Next, I will create a class. I will name it connections that will extend the event emitter. This way, the class connection will be able to emit events, and using this class, our code can listen to this event and act on them. Inside of it, we'll add the constructor, which need 3 parameters: the URL connection to MongoDB, the database name, and additional options, which by default will be an empty object. Now here we'll use zipper. With zipper we'll call the event emitter constructor. Then we'll set the this.dbName to dbName. Of course you can declare here the dbName like this as a property of this class, and you can initialize it here if you want some default value. Then we set up this .client to be an instance of Mongo client. We'll pass to it the URL and the options. This will give us a client where we can connect to a database. Then we'll create a method. We'll call it connect, which will be async with try catch to catch any error in case there's an error. Here we'll use the await this .client .connect. This will give us the connection. After successfully connecting, we'll get the DB with the this .client .db, and we'll provide to it the name of the DB provided by the user when creating this class instance. Now we are successfully connected to the MongoDB database, and we have selected the appropriate database. The next step will emit an event to inform the user of this class that the connection has been successful, and will send him the DB. So this .emit. Now we can use the emit here since we're extending our connection class with the event emitter. So this .emit will name the event connected, and will send with the event the DB. Now in case there's an error, we'll emit an error. So we'll emit an event named error that contain the error. This is it. Now we'll export. Now we can use this class in our index. So we'll import a constant, we'll name it connection, that will require the connection, and then we'll create an instance of this class with connection equal new connection. Provide to it the URL connection. Then the database name will be, you can name any database, it will be automatically created once you connect. So we create here a database called testcon, and the last parameter we can add some options. Here we'll be specifying the option use unified topology, will set it to true. So here we have the connection set up, we're ready to connect. So we can use the connect method that is available in the instance connection. Now here the connect is an async operation, but since we're emitting event once the connection is successful and in case there's an error, so we can rely on the event. So connection.on connected, here we provide to it a function. So, and with this function we'll get the what have been sent with the event emitted. So here we'll get the DB, and here we can console.log connected to MongoDB using the DB name database. This will inform in the console that the connection has been connected successfully. Now in case there's an error, we'll listen to the error event, and we'll provide to it also a function with the error parameter that we will be getting, and we console.log the error plus a message saying that error connecting to database. So this is it for connecting to MongoDB. So let us test our connection. Let us make sure of the event name. Alright. Here we replace the DB name with the database name. We'll hard code it here for now. This is just a quick example. Our focus is on this class here. Next we'll be showing how we can build the same functionality with prototype, and there is two ways with prototype. So now if I run my server again, so with npm run dev, here I can see I get the message connected to MongoDB using testcon database. Now we have successfully here connected to the database using the JavaScript class. Another thing I will show you concerning the way we are doing this with class, I will show you how we can do it with prototype. So using prototype is not complicated once you understand the concept of prototype. In the end, the class here is a syntactical sugar for the prototype. In the background, here will be transformed to prototype, the same code that we will create now. So here I will create a function connection with the same 3 parameter. Now inside this function there will be also the same setup. So this will be a constructor. Using this function we can manipulate its prototype. So once we work with the prototype, this function will be like a constructor to a class called connection. So here what I can do is using the connection dot prototype dot underscore underscore proto underscore underscore. So the proto here is an accessor property that will change the prototype of an object or a function. In our case, we're changing the prototype of the function connection. We'll set this prototype to event emitter dot prototype. This method actually is deprecated. Here if you go to developer.mozilla, and you can see here it is deprecated. So you can read here more information about it. But for now I'm showing you this method, which is used by many libraries. One of them is the Mongoose library, which uses this method. So if you go to if you check the file connection.js, you will see that here it uses the proto. So for now it works on most browsers, but know that this is deprecated. Just for demonstrating this way, I will later on replace it with the correct way concerning the prototype. Now we have an object that inherits the event emitter. Now we can add to this object prototype some methods using its prototype dot. We name here the method connect, and it will be similar to this function here. So it will be an async function. You can name it connect, or you can provide an anonymous function. So if we comment the class and use and rely on the new connection class that use the prototype. If I connect again, you see that everything work as expected the same way. Now to show you the replacement for this deprecated accessor property of prototype, what we can do here, instead of using the proto, we'll use is a new method on object. So here we rely on object.create, which will create a new object based on the prototype we provide. So we provide to it the prototype of the event emitter. So here with object.create, we can replace the prototype of connection with the prototype of event emitter. Now it is recommended to reset the constructor of the connection after changing its prototype in this manner. So you can do it like this: connection.prototype. You have access to the constructor here. So you can change the constructor back to the connect method. So here we're using this constructor again, because once you set the prototype in this manner, the constructor will be replaced by the one of the event emitter. Then once you change the constructor to connection, you need to call, as we did in the function here, the zipper, you need to call the constructor of the event emitter. To call the constructor here, you'll use the event emitter dot call this way you will call the constructor of the event emitter. We have everything set up as expected. Now if I reconnect again, everything also works the same way as expected. Now to finish up this example, I will create a class. I will name it user model, and with this class I will add a new user to the database. So and I will show you how we can create private method in a class. So quickly here we'll create a new file. Alright, this user model will be also a class. It will extend nothing for now. It has a collection property, and the constructor set the collection to db.collection user. So we're grabbing a collection named users. If it's not already available in our database, it will be created. Next will be setting the indexes. Now this here, this sign here will identify this function as a private, so you cannot call it outside of this class. Now let's create this private function. Indexes will be a private function here. Inside of it we'll set up the index. Here for this user we'll need an index on the email with type unique set to true. So it will be a unique index on the email. I want to grab your attention here that this syntax here, the way we're setting the private method, will return an error, as you will see, and I will show you how to fix this. So this is a private method. Next there will be a method that will create a new user. So I'll copy paste a one that I already have, and here this is a create method that will create a user. You send it the user object, and it will use the insert one on the collection to insert the property of the object with some additional properties like is email verified, the tokens, created add, modified add, and it will return, after waiting for this operation to be done, it will return the inserted ID. So this is the job of this function. Now here it will check for validate. I will copy the validate function also, and here I will pass the private function validate, which we are using here before inserting the user. So the validate function is just here for our example. It's not implemented, just another example of a private function. This is the private function, as I told you, will not work. So now I will save, and I will use this user model in my index. Here I'll require the user model. Will use it here in my, when the connection is connected successfully, I will instantiate a new user model object. Alright, now here, after we have the connection connected successfully, I will create the router, all of the router here. So this is one router. Another router will be /users. It will use the post method. So this will post to the endpoint users, and here once we get the request, we'll add a new user using the user model. So this is an async operation, so we'll add async to the function. Here we'll add await user model dot create, and we'll send to it the request dot to grab the JSON. We'll use the body. Now to be able to grab JSON, we need to add a middleware. Use the app.use express.json. This is a middleware that will intercept any request and will transform the body into JSON. We'll wrap it in a try catch. So I'll copy paste an example I already prepared. So here, try catch, it will wait for the creation of a new user. Once it's done, it will send a response with user added. In case there's an error, it will catch the error and send an error. All right, we can test this. So now I have saved, and not surprisingly, I have got an error here complaining about unexpected token here after I declared the private function. So I'm getting here an unexpected token concerning the parentheses. As I told you, private function doesn't work like this in normal function implementation. For some reason, it's supposed to be supported in Node.js version 12 and up. I have version 12, but for some reason it doesn't work. So to make it work here, you'll need to use the arrow function. Alright, using the arrow function will allow us to add private method without any error. So now if I run my server again, as you can see all is working, but one mistake I made is I haven't exported the user model class. So model.export, and if I export the user model, you will see that everything is working as expected. So if I will test here on the new instance, if I test a private function user model dot validate and provide to it empty object, the parameter, if I try to run the validate, I expect to get an error. Private field validate must be declared in an enclosing class. So as you can see, it is recognized as a private field or method. So this will assure us that private method work. So we are not allowed to call them. This is the goal for private method. So let us run this endpoint and see how it works. Now I have set up this request in Postman, so we can quickly now test it. I will open also my Compass. And I will connect to my localhost database, and here, testcon, yes, it has been created with the user collection. So actually it creates the collection without adding anything to it. So now let's add a user to it. Here I have set up a request with the post method, and the body will send this object containing first name, last name, email, and password. The data here will be sent as JSON. So if I click send now, I'll get user added. So we must expect a new user here in the database, and here it is. We have our new user in the database. So now if I try to click again with the same email, I got an error. What is the error? I made sure it is typed in the console. Here is the error. test.user index email 1 dup key. So we have a duplication here. That's why the insertion has been refused. So alright, this is it. This is how you set up your connection, your database MongoDB properly with classes and event emitter. Now remember, here we're relying on the prototype. Now if I can get rid of the prototype here and test it on the class to make sure both work, I can now activate my class that extends the event emitter and try again to add a new user. So this time I'll create a new email. So it will be, I'll add to it 2, and if I send, it works. I can refresh here, I get 2 users, which is awesome. So alright, this is it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumb up and subscribe to my channel for more of this kind of tutorial. In the next video I will be creating, based on this small API, I will add to it the authentication with GWT. We'll develop the user model here to have register, sign in, sign out, update user, and change password, remember me, all this functionality related to the register and logging in functionality. We will be creating them. Alright, thank you and see you in the next